Today we will speak about SIGNAX product, specifically about tools. And the topic of our webinar is how can we do Revit and Navisworks great again? So as most of you know, that Revit and Navisworks are mostly used on a design stage, and SIGNAX is transferring their work, their tools and features to the construction stage. So let me share the screen. So the last webinar was about our overview of our three modules: dashboard, inspection, and tools. The webinar occurred on 4th of April. You can check it on our YouTube channel if you're interested in our two modules, web modules, dashboard and inspection. But today we will speak more technical features in SIGNAX Tools module. So our mission is to increase construction process efficiency using digital technologies on the construction side. So as I said before, we have three modules: tools, dashboard, and inspection. Dashboard and inspection are web-based services, and tools are plugins for Revit, Navisworks, and AutoCAD as well. So we are Autodesk service provider, so we provide not only software development, but also services for adopting and implementing AEC collection, including BIM 360 or Autodesk Construction Cloud. Our products are mainly developed for developers, for consultant agencies, and general contractors. So anybody can use our product in a set with Autodesk products. So today's webinar agenda is about SIGNAX tools for Revit and SIGNAX tools for Navisworks. So we will speak about design stage features, BIM model property audit, automatic classification code filling according to table of rules, and construction stage features. This is spatial position of elements, construction model development as well. This is the major part. We will see how the construction model is developed inside SIGNAX Revit, and we will transfer further model to the SIGNAX for Navisworks. So SIGNAX tools for Navisworks, we will speak about BIM models properties audit. This is more expanded checks than in Revit. Presence of elements, properties values. Of course, we will do automatic search set creation according to preconfigured rules. And of course, we will work with a construction stage model, mark completed and accepted elements, add issues and comments, BOQ export, and exact scope calculation inside BIM model. So just to take the theoretical part and methodological part, all of you know that BIM technology can be implemented on each stage of the construction project. This is started for design BIM model. Then we transfer this model to construction BIM model, adding work packages, parts and pours, adding information about the dates, issues, and comments. The next stage of the BIM model is as-built BIM model. So in that stage, we correct the model based on point cloud geometry, and then add attachments for as-built documentation to each element of the BIM model. The last stage for the BIM model is digital twin. So in this stage, we add information about the assets, Internet of Things. This is real-time data from sensors and predicting the situation on the project, how is going on. So today we will speak about the construction BIM model and how can we work with it using SIGNAX tools. So just before we go inside the practice mode, we will speak about three main methodologies how we can create construction BIM model. So the first one is the simplest, and you don't need any additional software for creating construction BIM model. You just need your authoring tool, Autodesk Revit. So in this methodology, we just take the design BIM model, copy it, another version, and continue editing this file, editing geometry, adding new properties and data. What are the main pros of this method? So you don't need to buy any additional software. You just take the file and continue working with it. But the main cons of this methodology is that you need some advanced Revit skills. That's the problem for a construction site, because mostly people on the construction side don't use authoring tools. It's the main work for the consultant agency or for developer or the designer. So, and the second con is you need each time the new version of the BIM model is published, you need to transfer all the data you entered inside the construction BIM model file to the new version of the BIM model. So that's a problem when you get new elements inside the BIM model. And every time you have new IDs, it's hard to track the geometry and hard to track history of IDs. So you cannot just export information from your new construction BIM model file developed based on a design BIM model file and transfer it to a new design BIM model file. So the second method is using a linked file inside Revit. So this is the standard feature of Revit, copy and monitor. So you can just add inside the new construction BIM model file the link from design BIM model and continue copying elements and dividing them into the parts, how they were exactly implemented on the construction site, then add new properties and add new data. So we add one more pro of this method. You can transfer changes from the link design model. So if something is changed inside it, you can get new version of the elements inside your construction BIM model. But you have the same cons. You need advanced Revit skills and working with coordinates, properties management. And the main problem of copy and monitor feature inside Revit is that you cannot copy all the categories inside the BIM model. You can just copy basic of them, for example, walls, floors, columns, etc. But you cannot copy, for example, openings to get the exact scopes of the floors or slabs. So that's the problem. You cannot get the exact scope from the federated construction BIM model. And the third one method, using SIGNAX Tools workflow, using our plugins for Revit and Navisworks. You need just basic Revit and Navisworks skills. So frankly saying, you just need, for example, 2-3 days of training on the construction side, and the building inspectors will be ready to fill in the information about the construction process inside Revit and Navisworks. So all the changes can be transferred from new design BIM model to the new version of the construction BIM model. This is used just linking a new version of the design BIM model in the construction BIM model file. So major element categories can be copied using SIGNAX tools. So any pipes for MEP sections, any elements from civil 3D linked BIM models, any elements for architectural and structural BIM models. So it's easily done using SIGNAX tools. Of course, we copy elements geometry, including openings geometry. So we will get exact scope inside the construction BIM model, and you can export the invoices and BOQs using SIGNAX tools for Navisworks just in 2 clicks. So of course, we're tracking the ID history inside Revit and Navisworks on each stage when you copy element from the design BIM model and when you continue dividing these elements into the parts and getting the exact information on each part. And as I said before, scope calculations easily done with SIGNAX tools. So the main con is that you need to purchase our product and continue working with it. But it's pretty like cheap price, and you can go on and start working with it just in 2-3 days of training people on the construction side, and that's it. So of course we provide support for IFC. 2 and 3 version and 4.2 schemas inside SIGNAX SIGNAX tools for Navisworks. And on this slide, you can see the BIM pipeline that is supported by SIGNAX tools. These cards are divided by roles on the construction side. For example, designer, contractor, quantity surveyor, BIM engineer, and estimator. So any of this type of works can be done using Revit Navisworks combined with SIGNAX tools. So just to give you an example how the work's done on a real construction site, real project. So on the left side, you can see how it was done like old school on the construction site. Usually building inspectors and consultant engineers, they go on the construction site and mark the elements using just 2D PDF drawings and mark the elements with a marker, input some dates and signatures that these elements are done and the checklist is approved, accepted. So right now you can use BIM technology on the construction side, marking elements using SIGNAX tools, getting all the chronological information that about the elements that were implemented on the construction side, and see the exact scope inside the SIGNAX dashboard module. So any project stakeholder can see the actual information about the scopes implemented on site regarding each date and get the calculation inside the web browser or our SIGNAX dashboard mobile application. So here you can see block works tracking, masonry works, facade insulation works, plumbing works. So any section of the project can be tracked using SIGNAX tools inside Revit and Navisworks. So that's the part about the theoretical and methodological information. If you have any questions, you can ask them inside Q&A section, and my colleague Max will answer you. And I'm jumping inside the practical part. I'll open the example project inside Revit and SIGNAX tools for Revit. So here you can see the design BIM model, structural BIM model, and our SIGNAX tools tab. So there are lots of features you can work inside Revit. These features are divided into different groups. So for example, group for classification. In this section, you can work with design BIM model and classify elements based on classification code, assembly code. The next section of features is checker. So you can check elements properties and upload check results that are done inside SIGNAX tools for Navisworks. And we have support for BCF files. So you can create issues and comments using BCF files that is stored locally on your computer or on a server of your company. The next section is about creating construction BIM model. We will speak about it in the next part after the design BIM model. And of course, you can mark elements as completed, accepted, and plan works for the future. As well, we have some features for calculation of the scopes and some useful features to work with digital twin BIM models for point cloud development inside the design BIM model or a construction BIM model. So let me start for first part of the features. This is classification of the BIM model. For example, we received the BIM model from the designer or the consultant that is not classified. Well, but we would like to calculate the scope based on the classification code. So we need to classify these model elements based on our classificator or some international classificator. For example, Uniformat or Uniclass or Omniclass. So the first feature is code by type. This is pretty simple feature. You can download using SIGNAX Tools all the family types inside the project, and you will receive the Excel file with all the family types, categories, family types, symbols, and code descriptions inside the BIM model. So here we can see that this one BIM model already have some information about the assembly codes inside, but some elements are not classified. So in that situation, we just can enter new code for the elements. So copying them inside the new, for example, openings inside the walls, and classify it in the same way all the elements inside our BIM model. Then we just save this file and upload it using SIGNAX Tools inside Revit upload. And in this case, the plugin will run all the elements inside the BIM model and enter inside it family type, the code you just entered regarding the category and family name. And after that, you will see inside the type the assembly code. So as simple as that. The second method, you can classify elements inside the BIM model using the predefined rules, code by condition. So there is two ways, two methods. You can create rules inside SIGNAX Tools. So you can use the interface inside SIGNAX Tools. So creating and editing rules inside this window. So adding the codes, adding the code description, category, family name, and symbol name. As well, we have additional filter for substructure and superstructure inside the BIM model. So it's below 0 and above the 0. And of course, you can add any type of parameters that are stored inside the BIM model. For example, element names, and we can enter different types of conditions: equal, not equal, contain, and not contain, and enter the value you wish to filter inside the BIM model. So after that, it will be added here in this row. So something like that. You can create different type of rules, and after you created this rule, you can filter them using search button. So here we can see we just filtered the elements that are named with this one, contain this one text. We can show them inside the BIM model and isolate these elements and see which element we filtered using our rule inside SIGNAX Tools for Revit. So if we created the rule correctly, we just jump to the second rule and search the elements and see if we created the rule correctly. So after that, after the creation of the rules, we just press the button execute coding, and all the elements inside this design BIM model will be classified according to the rules we just created. So all the codes and code descriptions will be entered inside each element. So after that, you can continue to work with BIM model inside Revit or export it to Navisworks file and create, for example, automated search set creation and calculate the scope, the budget, BOQs, or invoices using the assembly code inside the elements. So this is two features that can easily help you to create assembly codes inside the elements. So the second feature for design BIM model, you can check elements for the properties inside the Revit. This is the checker feature. So here you can see, let me do like this. So here you can create three types of checks: presence of properties for group of elements, completeness of property values for group of elements. This is like a bit shorter list of the checks inside SIGNAX tools. The more and full checks list you can see inside SIGNAX Navisworks. So there you can create checks for 7 types of checks. So I created some example checks here. Completeness of properties of values for group of elements. So let me check it. And for example, I want to check if the property, for instance, named structural usage has value bearing. So we can run this check. And this check condition is that the volume is less or equal 0. So I want to see all the elements that are below the 0. I can group the results of elements. Here we can see that we have here 20,000 elements passed and almost 2,000 elements failed of this check. So I can zoom each of these elements, isolate them, and see what elements is failed of this check. All these checks we can export to XML file or Excel file and send it to the designer or the consultant agent. So the person who is responsible for the design BIM model can correct these issues, mistakes, and send us updated, corrected model. So the same for checking the presence of properties for group of elements. So for example, I want to check the family type named like this for the instance structural usage. So let me run this check. So here we can see that all elements have this information inside the BIM model. So we can export this list of checks, predefined checks. For example, we created, so usually we start the project with the BIM department. We can predefine all these checks, for example, with the help of BIM coordinator of BIM or BIM manager of the company, and send all these predefined checks to each engineer who is responsible for BIM model development or BIM model audits and checks. And there we'll be using predefined checks inside SIGNAX tools with pretty complex group of checks. So of course we can export these results to PDF and send it to the management. So this is the main features for design BIM model inside SIGNAX tools for Revit. Let me open construction BIM model and jump to the construction BIM model workflow.
Nikita, while you're checking everything, I just wanted to remember to everyone, put your questions into the chat, so we will answer them during the webinar or in the end of the webinar. Don't hesitate. If you have any question, just put in the chat.
So yeah, this is the correct model. Here you can see the construction BIM model example. Our company created the predefined templates for Revit, for different versions of Revit. So it's pretty simple to use on the construction side. So we have predefined the main 3 steps to create a construction BIM model. So you just copy elements, divide them into the parts or the pools, and then you just export it to Navisworks and continue developing and adding attributes or additional information that is created on a construction stage. So what's the method of working with the BIM model on a construction side using SIGNAX tools? So as I said before on the slides, on a presentation, we just link the design BIM model file inside our SIGNAX template for a construction BIM model. So here you can see the design BIM model, structural BIM model. In a predefined view, you can see it's like a bit blurred, yeah. Gray color elements. That's these elements from the linked BIM model, design BIM model. On the first floors, you can see already copied elements using SIGNAX tools. So these elements are already inside the construction BIM model file, and these elements are already implemented on the construction site. So they're already done, and we have some information regarding the construction stage. So here you can see the S-length properties for volumes, areas, and lengths. So as well, we have information about the material and assembly codes. So as you know, on the design stage, there are lots of information in the BIM model that are not useful on the construction stage. For example, some annotations information, for example, some additional properties for creating the geometry, etc. So this information is not useful for the engineers on the construction side. So we are using just simple steps for creating the construction BIM model. Let me show you how we copy elements. We have two methods copying elements. So we can press copy elements button. We have some settings for copying elements. We can copy materials from the design BIM model. We can enable ID check. So we need to be sure that we will not copy duplicated elements from previous iterations or of creating construction BIM model. So for example, last week we copied some couple of floors that were implemented on the construction site, and we don't want to copy the duplicated elements from the previous floors. So we just select this option and continue working to be sure that we will not copy duplicated elements. For example, some of the columns or floors or beams were implemented on site. So we can select them using your mouse, or just select the elements using the frame. So let me press the finish button. SIGNAX Tools plugin will copy the elements inside the construction BIM model file from the linked model design BIM model. We have seen some information that the geometry was not copied regarding the openings, but we don't need it. We just need the correct geometry on a floor, on the slab. So here we can see the slab was copied, including the information about the openings. So if we jump to the second view, construction BIM model view, we will see the elements that were copied by me. And we will see the exact information about the elements scope. So for example, this slab was implemented in the parts. So the general contractor was done it in 3 parts, and 2 parts were implemented, but the last one is still under development. So it's easy to divide these elements using the parts features inside Revit. So we need just to create the part, set the plane, select the plane, and divide it, for example, some randomly lines. So for example, like this, you can see the green lines, how it will be divided. And right now, I can say that these elements were done successfully. Apply. So they will automatically colored as the green. And these elements are still under the development. So if we jump to the third view, we can see that I just accepted 2 of them. And these elements are ready to export to Navisworks. Just file, export, and send it to NWC format file, and continue to work with it inside SIGNAX Tools for Navisworks. So for example, we would like to divide these elements more precisely. So in this case, we just create the plan view, floor plan. For example, let me check what the floor number is this. So it stands for, and let me create the floor plan for the 10th floor. And on this view, we can divide the elements more precisely according to the grids. So just create the division lines using more precise calculations. So one of the features inside SIGNAX tools inside Revit, we can automatically copy grids and levels from the design BIM model. For example, I want to copy grids and levels from the design structural BIM model. And I would like to enter the information about the spatial location inside the BIM model, connected to the information regarding the elevation and the square inside the grids. So if I select the elements, we can see that there is no information regarding the spatial location. So if we go to our feature determine location and select some of elements of these two floors. Finish. Okay. So here we can see that information were stored inside the S location parameter. And if I select one of the elements, we can see in properties this one parameter, new parameter, and we have information regarding the elevation, and the element is stored inside these grids, 8E2, 9E2, and EE2-DE2. So this information can be exported to the list as an Excel document, and we can filter and group the elements that are stored inside a specific location of the BIM model and calculate the scopes regarding this according to this information. This was example with the structural BIM model. So the same workflow can be implemented regarding the MEP BIM models. Let me load this example of the plumbing construction BIM model. So the same template with 3 simple steps, views, predefined. So here you can see the plumbing design BIM model linked inside the construction BIM model. And already some of the elements were copied in previous iterations. So the same way, we just copy elements by selecting them manually. Or the second method, I didn't tell you about it yet, copy by parameter. For example, we would like to copy all the pipes that are stored on the 6th floor. So copy by parameter feature. SIGNAX tools will scan all the parameters that are stored inside the BIM model, design BIM model, that is linked here. We can select any of these parameters, group of the parameters, and filter out specific elements we would like to copy. This is very useful when we have some federated models or very complex MEP models with lots of elements and lots of parameters. So you don't need to do it manually. So yeah, the same 3 features for copying materials and enable ID check and divide multi-layer elements. This one is done for multi-layer walls or other constructions. So we can filter information about the level. So let me find level. And I would like to copy elements that are stored inside 6th floor. So as well, I had ability to add some additional parameters to filter, for example, specific pipe diameter. For example, 6th floor and 150 millimeters piping. So here you can see we just copied all the elements that have the information about the level, 6th level. So we can jump to the second view, construction BIM model. So just in case we have an ability to divide some piping, for example, we have pipes that are developed in the design BIM model, like on all the height of the building, and we need to divide them on each floor. So we can create the part inside Revit and divide it using the standard features of dividing the parts inside Revit. And the last step, we just export it to Navisworks and continue working inside construction BIM model inside Navisworks. But at the same time, for example, you don't like using inside Navisworks or don't have licenses or of Navisworks Manage, you can continue to work inside the construction BIM model inside Revit. For example, we would like to mark the elements that were implemented on site without the issues. So it's simple as that. We just select the elements and say that were completed on the, for example, this one group of elements. So we can tell that they were implemented on the 1st of April. The work is HVAC and some contractors. You can add any type of contractors inside SIGNAX Tools settings, and we can change the phase to accepted. Okay. So this workflow for marking elements in the construction BIM model is the same in Navisworks Manage. But in Navisworks Manage, we have some additional and more useful features to create search sets and to filter out and group elements in specific way. So right now in Revit, I just created additional attributes regarding each element for completed date, work type, units, and the color. So you can as well export this information to Navisworks and continue to work for scope calculation inside Navisworks. So this is the main features inside SIGNAX Tools for Revit. Let us go to SIGNAX Tools for Navisworks and continue work with Design BIM model and Construction BIM model. So here you can see Plumbing Design BIM model inside Navisworks. So we have two tabs for SIGNAX Tools plugin. The first one is SIGNAX Tools Lite version and Pro version. In Lite version, you get it for free when you purchase SIGNAX dashboard module. So you can work with construction BIM models and calculating the scopes using SIGNAX Tools Lite. So marking the elements as completed or accepted, or for example, plan works for the contractors, calculating the scopes, and creating Photo 360 for SIGNAX inspection module. So this is the short version of the features for SIGNAX Tools Lite version. So for example, we would like to calculate the scope inside the Design BIM model. As you see, it's just a bare NWC file without additional information regarding the sets, search sets, or any additional parameters or properties. So let me go to SIGNAX Pro tab. So we can easily create predefined search sets creation rules. For example, I would like to divide this BIM model by system MEP system name. For example, MEP system, simple rule. Okay. So this is usually done for the tender process, bidding process on the procurement stage, for BOQ exports and scope calculations and budget calculations. So this model contains a lot of elements. This can take some time. Yeah, so it's already done. So here we can see a number of system names inside this BIM model. So for example, I would like to filter out all the domestic cold and hot water. So let me just hide and select it. Here you can see all the elements inside these systems. So using SIGNAX tools, you can just in 2 clicks get the lengths of these 2 piping systems. So right here you can see it's 23,000 elements, almost 24,000 elements. And just in 2 clicks, I predefined the filter using the SIGNAX tools, and I already have the information about the scope, the length, 15,000 meters regarding the domestic cold water and domestic hot water. So the same way we can just filter, for example, fire protection and hide all and see all the elements regarding the fire protection system. In the same way, we can get the length information about these elements, almost 2 kilometers. So you don't need to create quantification books inside the Navisworks tools, or you don't need special skills to work inside Autodesk Revit, creating the schedules and creating some rules, etc. So it's pretty easy to work on the construction site. And for example, I want to create some more complex rules inside SIGNAX tools. So for example, I want to divide MEP systems by piping size. Okay. So I will get each system name and which system contains certain diameters of piping. So for example, I need the certain diameter 150 millimeters of piping. So I'm just creating the new folder, pipe size by MEP system. And for example, I'm interested in 150, as I said, yeah, 150, 150. So it's 1,124 elements, and I would like to get the length, information of length. So it's 1,799 meters of the 150 millimeter piping. So all this information can be exported to Excel document using SIGNAX tools. For example, I would like to add length information here. So it's pretty easy to do. Just input the unit. So pipe size in meters. Actually, in millimeters, it could be done too. And let me press export feature BOQ by sets and select the pipe size by MEP system. Okay. Okay. So the plugin will export all information regarding these source sets I've just created inside Navisworks using SIGNAX Tools plugin. And let me open this document. So here we can see the Excel document regarding each MEP system name, each diameter of the piping, and the information about the scope. So you can add one more column with information about the unit cost and get the budget just in 2 clicks about this project section. As well, we have some abilities and features to add information about the unit costs inside the SIGNAX tools for Navisworks. So we created the SIGNAX tools panel. So anytime you can select one of the source sets created using SIGNAX tools, and we have information inside SIGNAX panel. For example, area, length, that's the sum. And we can go to the work step, and here we can see the work breakdown structure codes, their names, units, and unit costs. So this is used for creating construction BIM models. So anytime when you are marking elements as completed or accepted, you will add this information to each of the elements or group of elements using the search sets. So let me open construction BIM model inside Navisworks and I'll show you how we can work with the elements regarding the dates of implementation and other information that can we add inside the construction BIM model while the construction stage proceeds. So here you can see the construction BIM model, structural BIM model, and we already have done some inspections for these dates on the November and December of 22nd year. For example, I would like to calculate the scope that was implemented on site in November month. So here we just see the information, see the elements, certain elements regarding the scope. And let me press the volume feature, and we have information about the scope just in 2 clicks. For example, we would like to say that these elements that had issues before were successfully fixed or redone on the construction site and were completed, for example, on 25th of April. So we select the work breakdown structure work type and select one of the contractors. Okay. So automatically these elements were recolored to the green color, and we have automatically created the search set with a certain date. And something like this, simple as that, the construction engineers will work and add information about the elements implementation on site. So for example, the contractor done all this work, marking elements as completed. And we would like to export this information as an invoice to send this invoice to the consultant or the developer to get paid. So it's pretty easy to do using SIGNAX tools, using invoice export feature. So I would like to export completed works. So we have an ability to select accepted works as well, completed. So the next step, we just select one of the projects, SIGNAX sample. So here we can see the information about the client, consultant, main contractor, and construction site address. So we can select export image. So the image of BIM model will be added to the Excel document inside invoice. And the next step, we just select number of works that we would like to export to invoice. So we select the start date and finish date for the certain type of works. So, okay. And in this process, we will receive the invoice inside Excel document. So the work type, units, unit costs from SIGNAX tools, quantity from the BIM model, and the overall amount, and the subtotal for the main contractor to get paid. And on the second list, second page, we will see the image of the BIM model of the certain elements that we selected to export. So it's like ready document to send to the consultant or to the developer. Of course, it can be customized regarding your requirements, add some logos, additional information, and formats. So the same invoices can be exported regarding the MEP systems, fire protection, sanitary system, all the information from the BIM model, and the image from the BIM model. So for example, the building inspector had some issues with certain elements. For example, we found some issue with this one wall. So we have two methods creating comments inside SIGNAX tools for Navisworks. So we just press the comment button and add some issue and some information about the element. So it will be colored to orange color, and we will store some information about the issue. so in the search set. Or the second way, we can link the issues that were created inside Autodesk Construction Cloud or BIM 360. So anytime we can press from BIM 360 button, authorize to our Autodesk hub. So the next step, we will just select name of the hub that we have access to and name of the project. So then we select one of the issues that is stored inside our CDE system. We can filter them by quality, by type and subtypes. So we have concrete wall surface issue. So let me select it. Okay. So the element will be automatically recolored to red color, and the information will be stored inside the search set. So, for example, in the end of the month or some period, reporting period, we would like to get the scope of the elements that are not done with issues or with some comments. So, for example, I would like to filter November months, just hide unselected elements. And I would like to hide all the elements with the comments and issues, something like this. Hide. And I don't want to see here accepted and already paid elements. Hide. So something like this, using predefined search sets created using SIGNAX tools, we can get the scope of elements we would like to send for the approval to the consultant and get the scope of number of these elements. So 2000 cubic meters, we would like to get paid for this number of the elements. So these were the main features inside SIGNAX tools for Navisworks. Of course, we have some more and additional features, creating search sets, working with the scope, exporting to IFC formats, creating reports in Excel format and PDF format. We have some features to work with the schedule, etc. So if you're interested in all of these features and would like to take a trial or a demo of our product, you can contact me or Max, and we will provide you a demo account, and you will be able to check all these features by your own on your company. So Max, if you have some questions, I'm ready to answer them.
Thank you, Nikita. That was impressive. I just wanted to say thank you everyone for attending this meeting, and yeah, we are planning to hold some more webinars. We will send you an updates. So see you soon. Bye.
See you guys. Thank you for your attention.